Obviously, you've seen protests, riots, and vandalizing in many major cities across the country over the last couple of days, and recently the CNN building in Atlanta got vandalized. Rapper Killer Mike has some interesting words for CNN.
Ted did a great thing. I love CNN, I love Cartoon Network, but I'd like to say to CNN right now, karma's a mother. Stop feeding fear and anger every day. Stop making people feel so fearful. Give them hope. I'm glad they only took down a sign and defaced a building and they're not killing human beings like that policeman did.
I mean, he totally nailed it. Fear, 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 fear. That's all you hear on the mainstream media. They're always scaring people. They're always dividing. They're always acting like they have the moral high ground, and then they send you the commercials where they're selling you whatever degenerate product, pharmacy pill, or lawyer to sell another pharmacy product that they used to sell 10 years ago. It's really just disgusting. But somehow they brainwash people into thinking that they're somehow really great people because they're always pointing the finger at others. Thank you, Killer Mike. Another rapper who has some controversial real talk is Lil Wayne. Listen to him talking to Fat Joe.
So you have a unique perspective. What do you think about what's going on right now with this cop on Big George stepping on his neck and all that?
I think when we see these situations, I think we also have to understand that we have to get very specific. We have to get so specific, and what I mean by that, we have to stop viewing it with such a broad view, meaning we have to stop placing the blame on the whole force and everybody of such a certain race, everybody with a badge, and we have to get into who that person is, and if we want to place the blame on anybody, it should be ourselves for not doing more than what we think we're doing. I mean, we're leaving it at the reason why people always ask me, like, why you don't say this, why you don't do that, is because what else am I gonna do after that? Some people put a tweet out and they think they did something. Some people wear a shirt, they think they did something. I mean, what you gonna do after that? Did you actually help the person? Did you actually help the family? Did you actually go out there and do something? So if I ain't about to do all that, then I ain't about to do nothing. I pray for you.
You say the follow through is more important than wearing the shirt or talking about it. Is actually
learning about it. What we need to do is we need to learn about it more. If we want to scream about something, know what we're screaming about. We want to protest about something, know what we're protesting about. Because if we want to get into it, I mean, it's a bunch of facts that we think we know that we don't know. So if we want to get into it, first know what we're talking about before we talk about it. Because we scream about things that sometimes they isn't even true.
Lil Wayne's like Kanye West. He's his own person, and he doesn't buy into the group sheep herd mentality that everybody else buys into. So he gets in a lot of trouble. I'm going to play a clip at the end that he also said, but that's the logic and wisdom that they don't want you to have. They don't want you to have self-accountability, self-responsibility, self-awareness, and a smart mindset to not just emotionally lash out and make problems 30 times worse and ignore 99% of the problem. What they don't want is you to think critically and actually make the world better for yourself and your people. You might not want to hear it from me, but check out this business owner that lost everything.
Today we found Corboy Bala, who invested his life savings into opening this sports bar, cleaning up. While our camera was there, looters came back to try to steal his safe.
Right, trying to steal the safe.
I don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna work so hard to get here. So hard.
There's good news though. A GoFundMe helped him raise over $300,000, and I'm sure he'll have more than enough money to build back his business. These are the great uniting stories that they don't want to tell you on mainstream media. They don't want people to get along. They don't want you to think America's a nice place. They don't want you to think your fellow citizens have your back. They're always trying to divide, conquer, and destroy. This is a rare clip from the LA riots where one of the OGs in the neighborhood really lost it seeing what people were doing to the place that he grew up.
If you didn't think it's too damn bad, but don't destroy my stuff. Don't burn down my soul. Come on, Carl. I worked too hard for this.
I don't even understand nothing.
Come on. It's not right. It's not right. It's not right what y'all doing. I came from the ghetto too. Same as all of you did.
Y'all need to listen.
But you know, y'all mess up my business. And you call it black power. You mad at the white man. Why destroy my business? Why destroy destroy my truck. Why see my computer? I'm trying to make it. Could you understand that? Can't y'all see it? I'm trying to make it.
I'm not trying to be stereotypical or cliche, but it's hard for me to think that the Black Lives Matter protesters actually care about black lives, because almost every weekend 7, 8, 9, 10 people are shot dead in Chicago, and that's just one city. There's hundreds of black people dying all the time, and nobody ever seems to care unless it fits their racial or political agenda, which just personally tells me that they don't care about all black lives. They care about certain ones that they can politicize and throw a tantrum over, and like Lil Wayne said, pretty much do nothing except self-righteously tweet on the internet and convince everybody that they're all of a sudden such great people before they go back to their life of not caring again. Speaking of people like that, Michael Moore had some choice words for the Minneapolis protests. He said, "Good citizens burning down the evil police precinct in Minnesota after all police were out and safe. All police should go home. No violence, please. Police headquarters must be demolished by the city tomorrow as a show of contrition to black America. Rebuild PD with decent, kind people, aka people of color." Obviously, there were already black and Hispanic people of color on the police force. In fact, I believe the police chief was black himself. But Michael Moore had to lie and say that let's burn it down until we could get people of color there. What you might not know about Michael Moore is he's a multimillionaire, $50 million, has upwards of 9 houses, and would never take part or live in these areas. I mean, that's for you to do. You burn down your neighborhood. Please burn that, burn that, burn that. I wonder if he'd feel that way if you went towards Michael Moore's neighborhood. Something's off about that. $50 million, 9 houses, telling people in Minnesota what to do and acting like he's the king of minorities. If I recall, I believe there was a Malcolm X explanation for people like this. Let's look.
There are many whites who are trying to solve the problem, but you never see them going under the label of liberals. That white person that you see calling himself a liberal is the most dangerous thing in the entire Western Hemisphere. He's the most deceitful. He's like a fox. And a fox is always more dangerous in the forest than the wolf. You can see the wolf coming. You know what he's up to. But the fox will fool you. He comes at you with his mouth shaped in such a way that even though you see his teeth, you think he's smiling. You take him for a friend.
Malcolm really nailed it, and that's the problem with a lot of these people in Silicon Valley or a lot of the celebrities in Los Angeles. They live in the hills. They live in multi-million-dollar mansions and gated communities. They don't live in the streets of Minneapolis. They're not at the protests. In fact, when CNN got attacked, all of a sudden they changed their tune on what they thought the protests were. You even had people tweeting out, no, not us, go attack Fox News, we're your friends. I said, you know, these kids don't care about CNN. They'll listen to DaBaby or maybe Cardi B, but they literally don't care about you. I think these people at the news networks lie to themselves so much that they actually start believing their lies and think that they're some sort of rock star amongst the youth of which they raised and conditioned to act that way. It's like a Frankenstein that they lost control of. But that's why they talk a big game. They literally treat people like pawns, and the second you stop marching to their orders, they say, oh, not me, we're your friends. You know, you're supposed to do that, what we told you to do. It's all fun and games until it hits home. And that literally happened for somebody in Minneapolis.
In this apartment building right here where they're currently putting the water in. I got a call from my landlord this morning that the place was on fire last night. Me and my neighbors went and stayed at a hotel, and I came down here as soon as he called and I got a hold of him, and it just is like really heartbreaking. I just moved in here like a week and a half ago, and I just got everything set up, and I was really excited to live in the city and be around everyone. And now it's all gone.
We can all identify when something's wrong and try to make it right, but there's some people who really do want to make it right, and then there's people who just shout headlines once or twice a year and have been conditioned by mass corporate media to think that they have the moral high ground in that situation and they're self-righteous people who are here to save the minorities in America. In reality, when you look past their empty words, when you look past their empty phrases, when you look past their disgusting, degenerate behavior and actions, what you start to realize is they're every bit as hateful and harmful and negative and nasty and dangerous as the people that they claim to fight. And many times they exaggerate and lie and do anything under the sun to get to the point that they're trying to get to, which is they don't really have a direction like Lil Wayne talked about, which is the problem. But that's what media has done. It's raised a generation to think that they don't have to be right, they don't have to be accurate, they don't have to be honest, they don't have to be truthful. They simply have to exist. And if they have a victim card, or at least play the victim card that corporate media wants them to play for others, they think that makes them awesome. I'm not going to be shamed and pressured by the lemmings, the sheep, the gatekeepers, and the corporate stooges, many of which will push any product, any company, any lie, any evil to make money in the entertainment industry, and then turn around twice a year and just tell you you're such a bad person if you don't agree with exactly what I say, which is exactly what Nike says, which is exactly what MasterCard thinks, and what do you know? It's exactly what all the corporations and all the media thinks. It's almost like I don't have any original thoughts for myself, and I just march to the orders of activism whenever I'm told it's publicly acceptable to march to the orders of activism. Well, guess what? If that's the type of activism you're doing, it's probably not activism. It's called being a follower. And that's what I'm not, and that's what many people aren't. So overall, I hope you enjoyed those clips. I want to end on a positive one, and it's probably the reason that Lil Wayne doesn't play the same game that every phony celebrity plays when it's politically and socially convenient to do so.
At the age of 12 years old, I shot myself. I was in the house. Police knocked on the door. I was right there. They knocked the door down. Everybody jumped over my body to go get the guns and drugs and whatever they could find. It took one guy to stop right there and cuss everybody that hopped over me out. Like, what the f*** are y'all doing? They say, oh, no, we was going to see if it, what the f*** are y'all doing? We called the ambulance. A ambulance, do you not see this kid on the floor with this hole in his chest? Say, you drive. Pick me up. Brought me to the hospital. He didn't drop me off at the ambulance and say, you take him. He brought me to the hospital room and made two and stood there and waited till the doctor said he's gonna make it. He said, don't worry, my name's Uncle Bob. He was white as snow. Them that hopped over me was blacker than me.
Was he a cop?
Yeah, he was a cop, and my life was saved by a white man. I don't know what racism is. I know a good named Uncle Bob, though.
And I hope you liked this video. Have a good day.